I wish I was not on the chair. I would have really contributed. We have power rationing. So then on the overall, how you'll engage KPLC and the rest to see that we respect Kenyans in this holy month now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I first want to thank...
And the issue of also the hardships, yes.
The water, yes. I want to thank the Honorable Bashir for raising this very important matter, Honorable Speaker. And it's indeed unfortunate that in this time and era, that people still rely on power from a neighboring country. Yet they pay taxes in Kenya and they live within this country, they live within the jurisdiction of this country, and they are Kenyans in all rights. So Honorable Bashir and the members that have spoken, very important. I mean, it really shows that we are the head of state, alongside the Minister for Energy, Honorable Speaker, signed some agreements with some suppliers, Honorable Speaker, and there is a process to light up the entire region of the Northeastern, Honorable Speaker, as far as I'm concerned. But I do not want, Honorable Speaker, to hold brief for the ministry. I want to commit that in the next week, we will have the Committee of Energy respond comprehensively upon, of course, getting the minister himself before them and answer to the progress they are doing as far as energy is concerned, Honorable Speaker. But on the second point on water, the hardship and water, Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that 10 years post-devolution, we are still talking about water challenges. Because it would interest members to know that water is largely devolved. And much of the processes as far as water management is concerned, Honorable Speaker, is actually devolved. As we speak, Honorable Speaker, even as I answer the honorable members that have spoken about the water, a strange disease, a very mysterious disease, has befallen my people, Honorable Speaker, in the village. I mean, from the water. They have taken, today the ministry has given a report that they've been drinking contaminated water, Honorable Speaker. But who answers such? That question, Honorable Speaker, should be answered by the county government. That 10 years post-devolution, we still have challenges of water in our counties, even having been given huge amounts of money, Honorable Speaker, to manage the water challenges in the counties. We need sometimes to ask ourselves this question: what exactly are county governments doing as far as this water challenge is concerned? There is water resource, Honorable Speaker, is becoming very scarce by the day. The climate change issues, you know, we are currently, of course, the sun, like you've said, in the other part of the country is at, I mean, the heat is at 40 degrees, Honorable Speaker, as we speak right now. Nairobi currently is at about 35%, Honorable Speaker, 35 degrees Celsius. For the very first time in my region, Honorable Speaker, we are at 37. A place that rains every day, Honorable Speaker. You know, the other day, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Kibagendu was saying that walking around the Gusii streets, each person is walking around with their whole bag of, you know, dust. Because when you get to the house, people look like, I don't know how, because it is very, very hot all over, Honorable Speaker. So even as we talk about those challenges, we perhaps need to pose this question to county governments, that while the national government should be working on the energy sector, like I've committed, the Energy Committee will handle this, and that I've said that there is a process already of procuring the supplies of energy, Honorable Speaker. Like you've seen, you saw the President sign some agreements with some suppliers, Honorable Speaker, and there is a lot of efforts to mitigate the challenges on that part. But on the water, Honorable Speaker, we need to pose this question to the right people. Nairobi, there is a challenge of water. Northeastern, there is challenges of water, Honorable Speaker. Gusii, in all the counties, there is a challenge of water. So we really do not know whether this responsibility, or rather the water issue, should revert back to national government for easier management or remain in the county government. Because that really, Honorable Speaker, may not really require the hardship allowance per se, or the hardship amount per se, money per se. It is actually the prerogative of the county governments to handle that. But instead, they've chosen to spend this money in other, to spend this money in other means, or rather in other forms, Honorable Speaker, through you know, putting in unreliable or unnecessary projects, Honorable Speaker, including moving around in convoys, Honorable Speaker, and carrying goons, and having 50 vehicles, Honorable Speaker, on the way, you know, and hiring cheering squads in functions. You know, nowadays they even have, they have hired squads, Honorable Speaker, to attend their functions. They have a group of 200, 300, every governor. And this is very particular. Every governor has got a group of about 300 or 400 people on payroll that they move around with, and they tell them to stand or sit in some strategic position just to clap whenever they stand to speak, whether in barrios, whether in churches. That is exactly what they are doing, instead of putting this money in the right place. It is very, very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Sometimes they even direct the people in the county inspectorate, Honorable Speaker, to move around the county, to move their uniforms.
Responding to points of orders that were raised, but...
Okay.
Otiende Amoro, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, mine is a procedural point of order. And I appreciate the fact that 2 points of order were raised, and you've given the majority whip an opportunity not to respond, but to promise to respond. But now the majority whip is taking us on a lecture session of Kisii politics. How is that relevant to the 2 points of orders that were raised? And yet, Mr. Speaker, my substantive point of order is this.
What's your substantive?
We are 2 hours into our session. We have not come to the first substantive business for this afternoon. And some of us here came for a very specific reason. Mr. Speaker, order number 10 is an order on the NADCO, and it's a report that concerns matters of concern to these citizens, including security. As I speak here today, Mr. Speaker, this morning, I woke up to have lost 5 of my constituents. 5 ladies were buried alive, including a young girl of 27 years who is a graduate. I was hoping we would get to this order so that we speak to the very substantive issues of concern to the nation, and we can leave the issues of Kisii and Nyamira politics to another later session. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Osoro. Honorable Osoro, I agree with you entirely that you are not empowered at all. Well, I shouldn't say at all, but at least under our current system and our constitution, when it comes to issues when it comes to issues of water. But all I want you to do is proceed and give a definitive undertaking on the issue of, I think you have settled out the issue of the hardships, the report itself, and the issue of the electricity outages in Mandera and many other places. We share your frustrations with you. Even the chair shares that with you. But it's for you to go and change the law so that if the county governments cannot perform in certain areas, the national government has the powers to step in and perform on that, and then of course deduct that from their allocations. So there are ways we can do things, but it's not just to stay here helpless and say it's the county government and they are not doing anything. And I think in the National Assembly here, the House needs to be powerfully proactive for the House to come up with the definitive solutions to the problems that are there. Everybody shares with you the frustrations of the county governments. Actually, if there's going to be a referendum right now on whether the county governments should be maintained the way they are, majority of Kenyans are going to vote in a manner that's going to shock everybody. But then proceed and give a definitive undertaking right now on the issue of how soon you can have that report in here, or how soon you can report back on the report here, and on the issue of when you are going to engage Kenya Power and Lighting on the issue of the power outages in Mandera and all the Muslim areas right now in this Ramadan period.